let's get involved, involved, let's get involved, involved, let's get involved, 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 let's get involved, involved, let's get involved, involved, let's get involved, 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 involved.
In my recent interactions, I have come to find that many Nigerians are not truly aware of the actual responsibilities of a legislator, especially in comparison to a member of the executive branch of government. Legislators are not responsible for the implementation and execution of policies, so do not expect my manifesto to include references to roads and water, education or power, or any social and infrastructural amenities. Legislators, my dear friends, are responsible for representation, oversight, legislation, and engagement to ensure that the rights and expectations of citizens are met and exceeded, and that the executive functions properly in delivering these to the Nigerian people. However, there are a number of soft infrastructure issues that are critical to the proper performance of government and functioning of our society that will be the key focus of my legislative agenda. These three pillars or thematic areas will affect every piece of legislation that I sponsor, will determine the contributions that I make to the rigorous debates in the House, will direct the activities of my constituency projects and initiatives, and will fuel my engagement with the executive as I play my oversight role. These thematic areas include, number one, value reorientation. No matter how much we spend on social amenities and infrastructure, the pervasive cultures of corruption, indiscipline, and ethnic religious bigotry will erode any potential value that such investments can create. Without the right attitudes and behaviors, Nigerians and Nigeria will not achieve the changes that it yearns for. I will therefore champion legislation, drive oversight, and prioritize projects that focus on rebuilding the moral and ethical fiber of our nation. Institutions like the National Orientation Agency, the Citizenship and Leadership Training Center, and all other institutions and structures within the government and civil society that are responsible for education, civic engagement, and capacity building have to be focused and funded properly to execute tangible projects and initiatives to reclaim our naked public square. I will focus on greater communication, engagement, and advocacy with civil society groups, development partners, and promote cooperation with and amongst them and their counterparts in the executive. Next to value reorientation is strengthening our institutions. You see, when public institutions are strengthened and functioning effectively, then we can actually start to talk about the rights and responsibilities of Nigerian citizens. Without a deliberate focus on strengthening some of our key institutional frameworks, Nigerian citizens will continue to be circumspect about leaders and government and will continue to offer resistance even to the best intentioned government policies and programs. Over the years, a number of important reforms have been championed in various areas to strengthen institutions: fiscal and tax reforms, procurement reforms, the ease of doing business, judicial reforms, and even electoral reforms. Many of these reforms are written on paper only, and my focus will be to do two things. Use the powers conferred on me as a legislator to firstly write those reforms into the hearts and minds of Nigerians, and then ensure through oversight that these reforms are actually implemented by the government agencies that are responsible for them. In addition, my legislative agenda will include revisiting some of these reforms and championing new reform programs in other areas. For example, in the areas of governance, structure, and federalism, education, even within the legislature itself, and very importantly, the public service. Thirdly, building our people. Nigeria is set to become the third most populous country in the world by the middle of this century. This portends many opportunities, but also a number of potential threats. We need to begin to pay attention to creating structures and programs that will restore the dignity of the Nigerian people and the sanctity of Nigerian life. Without these, the Nigerian Renaissance that we dream about will only become a nightmare of epic proportions. My legislative agenda will focus on building an egalitarian society that truly supports and creates an environment for every Nigerian citizen to thrive. I will push legislation, I will push projects and investments that will ensure that while all 5 fingers are not equal, each finger is well nourished and fed. Priority areas will include health and human services, social security and pensions, as well as education. I will seek to increase the access and impact of health insurance, to provide government counterpart funding for micro pensions and micro insurance for the most vulnerable Nigerians, and improve the quality of education through improved teacher training and governance of educational institutions across all levels. With all these 3 in tow, I am confident that I will make a difference not only in the lives of all my constituents, but also in the lives of all Nigerians and for the country itself. Each Nigerian deserves to be treated like a VIP, and with my legislative agenda and focus on values reorientation, strengthening our institutions, and building our people, we will be set for the Nigerian Renaissance that we have all hoped for.
AMAC-Bwari is the promoter of the Let's Get Involved campaign and an aspirant for the Federal House of Representatives, AMAC-Bwari Federal Constituency of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, under the platform of the Abundant Nigerian Renewal Party, ANRP. You can find out more about the ANRP and AMAC-Bwari's Let's Get Involved campaign using the information on the screen. Get involved.